are about ready to go live. Hello, hello, everybody. Time for another Accountability Success Circle Quickie. Once I know that we're live, yeah, we are live. All right, cool. If you are hearing this, how about you smash that button so we know you're here? You can put in the chat where you are dialing in. I said dialing in, that's sorry. All right, we got some claps going. Thank you. Thank you to everyone. All right. We are going to officially go live. All right, let's see if my DJ skills are pretty good. We're going to go live in 3, 2, 1. And what's up? Hey, everybody.
Hi. Oh my God, I love all this music. I just was hitting all the hearts and
links. That was you.
Awesome. And it wasn't just, I don't know, maybe it wasn't, and maybe it is just me right now. I'm like, oh, people.
Yeah, so. That was us. So
maybe it's just us.
It's all good. Whether you're watching this live or the replay, this is the Accountability Success Circle, Success Quickie. We are your success team. I'm Gary. That is
Apryl. Woohoo!
Woohoo! And this week we're going to be talking about something that I think we all we all need to like sort of be mindful of, because let's be honest, we've been doing a lot of work, whether you have been trying to get your kids back onto homeschooling or to school if they're actually going to school, running your business or not running your business, or keeping your house organized or keeping your family organized or keeping yourself organized.
All the things.
And we need to take a moment and celebrate ourselves. So that's what we're going to be talking about. If you have a challenge celebrating yourself, this is for you. We're going to give you 3, counted, 1, 2, 3 easy things that you can do that is going to help you out. So since it is the quickie, how about we just jump into it?
Let's do it.
Head first. And so oh my God. Oh yes. That deserves another one. Yay. All right, cool. So number 1 is keep an F yeah folder or wall. And so F yeah stands for, you know what that word is. I'm just going to censor myself. But the importance of this is a lot of times when we are, sort of knee deep in all that work, and sometimes life gets stressful, sometimes we are questioning why the hell we're doing this, it's great to have reminders. And oftentimes people do celebrate us, or we do something that is completely amazing. And what do we do about it? We just forget about it, because guess what? Your brain is wired to remember the bad things more often than the good things. And so anytime you have someone that celebrates you or something that you did that you're really proud of, you should have a folder in your inbox, or a folder in your physical environment, or like how I have a cork board in front of me, that every time you have one of those, you can pin it up there, so that when you get a moment when you are like doubting yourself or you're feeling down, you can go and just take a walk down memory lane and remember all of those things. And that was something that I personally did earlier this week. And, I just gave myself about like 10-15 minutes because I was actually putting something in there. And I, wasn't feeling 100%. I was feeling maybe like, 65. And just going and reading 2 or 3 emails just really just like lifted my spirits. And it gave me the energy that I needed. So, April, what are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree. And, when we were talking about the different tips for this quickie, he was like, oh yeah, I have my F yeah folder. And I was like, I have a wall. I have a wall on the back of on the one side of my office that has letters, notes, thank yous, birthday cards. I have a couple birthday cards from Gary now that are just like funny things to look at and things to remember about how far I've come, the things that I've done, the ways that I've impacted people. It's funny because when COVID had started and I was going through a really, really tough time, I of course, didn't look at that wall at all, which I should have done. But it was right there for me to kind of help reboost my ego back to where it should be, which is in a happier place. So definitely a amazing strategy to celebrate yourself by having those tangible external validations of how much of a badass you are. So that's number one. Shall we move right into number two?
Roll on to number two, April.
All right. Number two is personal affirmations. So we talk about different ways to celebrate ourselves. Like it could do with like power poses or just general affirmations. But we want to talk about affirmations that are very custom and specific to you. This could be something where you're tapping into your own self-wisdom and you're not just saying something that's cookie cutter that you got from a book. But something that really, really speaks to you. So I don't know if this was cookie cutter, but a lot of times I will, remember, the phrase "you do you." I kind of use it for a lot of things because I tend to get wrapped up in this idea of, well, what are other people doing that's making them successful, and forgetting the fact that I am my own person and I thrive the most when I make my own choices, when I trust my instincts and trust my gut. So that's a very personal phrase to me. Also, I got cheerful AF tattooed on my back shoulder. Like that is a personal affirmation that really speaks to who I am. And so you want to try to create your own personal mantra, whatever that is. It could be a long quote or it could be something very super simple. Gary, how about you? What do you think about that?
I totally love it. And it was something that in the ASC, one of our challenges were to create your own personal mantras, your personal affirmations. And we had a really cool process by which to do that. And I will give you a little taste. It's thinking about what is that version of yourself that you want to step into? How do they live? What do they like? What are the things that make them feel good? And then start to research some words that are alignment with that. And then it's all about like putting some words together. One of I call them power patterns because when I think about it, it helps me power up. And one that I personally have that I refer to often is inspired action through rebellious intention. And so that is something that when I think about it, it reminds me of going back to who I am and what I'm here to do. And yeah, it creates this feeling and emotion.
Love it.
Yeah.
Do number three.
Number three. We're just blowing through it. What up? Number three. This is something, again, if you're like me, you probably been really busy and you probably need to do this. So let's just be honest. How about you treat yourself? And this is one of the things where there's nothing wrong with just taking some time to celebrate who you are. And maybe you don't even feel like you deserve it. But trust me, if you are surviving this pandemic, you do. And it's all about, you made a win. How do you go out and say, yeah, I remember when I would get good grades, and you probably did this too. Like my parents would put it on the fridge and there would be like this big, it's not even that big, but it felt big of like recognition for something badass. Now, we could talk about like some of the bigger things that you can do to celebrate yourself in a second, but are you celebrating yourself more often than not? And I don't mean every time you cross something off your to-do list, you get to go eat, a bag of Reese's Pieces. I'm just speaking from personal experience. There's limits, but you could give yourself a big high five, or you could ring the air horn. And that comes from the book Tiny Habits by researcher B.J. Fogg. And BJ talks about how you can instill new habits is the moment after you do something worth celebrating, you need to celebrate. And most adults don't feel comfortable doing it, but the research shows that when you do that, you're more likely to continue it. It's that accelerant that will help you power up. April.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that sometimes when we feel like we don't deserve to treat ourselves is this idea of, is this us being selfish? We have other, responsibilities, and we shouldn't be, lollygagging and playing. But if you've watched any of our other quickies, you know that it is really important to do things for you. And if you're curious or feeling guilty about being selfish, you're probably not being selfish. So, or you definitely aren't being selfish, because you have that awareness and trying to be mindful of people, and having those responsibilities. So treat yourself. I went and got a facial today to celebrate like my 0 inbox for the first time in like, I don't know how long, that I'm going to try to, hopefully email will never be a complaint ever again. We'll see how that goes. But that was my like early celebration of all of this hard work and just trying to get my kids on their like hybrid learning school session, like, and having basically all my ducks in a row. So treat yourself. It doesn't have to be, crazy, like, go to the spa every time you do something little, as Gary was saying. But we have to treat ourselves, because that rest is fuel for your brain, and it increases your happiness, and that's what we're all about. So those are your 3 tips. And those are your 3 tips for this week. We are going to be coming back at you next week with and just the coming weeks with some really awesome tips, because we are gearing up for October, which is our big planning month, as we gear up for 2021. It's crazy to think that that's, we're already really, really close to that. So stay tuned. We are gearing up to have our first ever annual planning retreat, which is going to be held virtually the weekend of August 9th through 11th. If you're interested in checking that out, first come to the Accountability Success Circle, where we're talking about it, but we'll share more details about that in the coming weeks to give you a preview of what you can expect. It's a really great working session. So check us out at accountabilitysuccesscircle.com. And I think that's it, Gary.
That's
right?
it. Yes. You know what, April? You are a
winner.
Everybody that's watching this is a winner. And we'll
Yes.
see you guys next week on the next ASC Quickie number 35?
35, I think. So, yeah. All right. So let's play us out. Bye, everybody.
Bye.